Aloha Friday Live, everybody. Thank you for being with us tonight. Today, I got Alex with me. We're going to be talking about holistic health and wellness. This is the fun part of the week. Folks, if you don't know how to Aloha Friday, we're going to teach you tonight. Or we're going to give Alex a little opportunity to tell us about herself, her background, and why we're talking about leadership, holistic health and wellness. Alex, welcome to the show. Thank you for being with me tonight. Tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I love the vibes. I love the music. I'm feeling all of that. So, yeah, my name is Alex Rosa, and I am from Ohio, and today's been snowy and rainy and sunny. It's been all the seasons in one day. It's been pretty crazy, but I have lived here my entire life, and I am a holistic health and wellness nurse. I love things all holistic health, wellness related. I am a teacher as well. So I teach at the local community college. Actually, we were just having this convo off screen before we started. I teach on the weekends. I teach the evening weekend program for first year registered nurses. And I've been doing that for the past couple of years. And I absolutely love that. And I also, what else do I do? I'm also a student. I'm going to be graduating just under a month with my doctorate in nursing. And actually, it goes really well with today's topic because my specialty is health systems leadership and administration. So that's where I'm getting my doctorate degree, but also focusing on education as well. So absolutely love teaching and everything to do with that. And goodness, what else do I do? I have so many things that I do. And we're also going to talk about spice today. I always go to the wrong side. So we're going to talk about spice today. And spice is my head to soul assessment that I have created with my health and wellness practice. And we're going to talk all about that today. But I've got 3 beautiful children, 17, 14, and 4. And my husband works for the local police department. And so we are always busy, always doing things, but I would not have it any other way.
Outstanding. Look, folks, let me just clarify, because, you talk about spice, and it took me back to way back where we had a problem. This type of spice.
No.
just to make sure. This type of spice is the type that you want.
Exactly.
Right. And we're going to talk about that and dive into that. But Alex, thank you for taking the time to be with me tonight. Health and wellness, such a broad subject, such a unknown subject, even with it being so talked about, especially the last 2 years. We were talking earlier, there's been a variety of ways people have treated the pandemic period, right? Where we were all locked up at home. Some chose to say, hey, perfect time for me to hone in on this health and wellness thing and get myself where I need to be. I don't have nobody else. Let me get myself where I need to be, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, all the way around. And then there was others that said, you know what, to hell with health. and they blew up, right? And so the 2 different things that have happened. Same scenario for everybody. Pandemic, same scenario for everybody. Yet and still, we have several things that have come out of it. A lot of people have come out of it more healthy in all aspects. a
Yeah.
lot of people have come out of that in a hurt locker, right?
Mhm.
Physically, obesity, in the mind. Look,
Mm.
I'll tell
Mhm.
you, I didn't go crazy, but I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
This this thing is out of whack here. I mean,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
paranoia, you get a fear creep up on you,
Mhm.
uncertainty, right? So there was a lot that happened in terms of what we're talking about tonight, and so that's why I'm happy that you're here.
Yeah.
What Tell me, what did you see the most in terms of the bad side of the health spectrum, outside of what we know did happen worse, which was people died, right? Um,
Yeah.
my mom passed from COVID, so we know
Mm.
that happened, right? But that folks that are still around, what was the worst that
Mhm.
you saw come up?
I think the worst I saw come up was issues around relationships and issues with we were having time to think about ourselves and who we are and what have I done with my life up until this point and what am I going to do now after this, because so many people either lost their jobs or decided to pivot in their careers or something like sparked that desire to want, yeah, to want to. And that's me too, honey, because this whole thing with spice and everything really took off right when the pandemic first started. So the whole time I've been working on this has been through the pandemic. And, I was still working bedside in the ICU. So a lot of my background is ICU nursing. And so I was doing travel nursing in the ICU all through COVID. And I mean, the tolls that I saw that, yes, in the workplace that were happening, we knew that. But it was all of the stuff, all the drama at home that was spilling over into the workplace and people just not having the resources, not having the strategies, not having the support, the knowledge to work through that at home with their own relationships and what they were going through internally and facing those fears and facing those stressors. That was a lot of the outcome that I was seeing and that people were struggling with COVID and with the pandemic. That's really what I was really picking up on. And that's really what made me focus so much on building up spice and wanting to do something on my own that was outside of working at the bedside. And so I really wanted to take what I was learning about with earning my degree and learning about the health system leadership and the administration, with taking all of that and applying it to the hospital setting. And one of the things that I ended up working on was helping redo the onboarding, the orientation of new nurses. And they wanted to put more of a holistic influence into that area because we were looking at a lot of the studies that were going on, and that was kind of like one of the top trends and hot things that were going on, was how to incorporate more of that work-life balance and more of that holistic sense into the workplace and into the onboarding to entice those newer nurses that were coming in, but also to increase the longevity of the nurses that were already there that were struggling in those areas that didn't need that support that wasn't there for them yet. So we really worked on creating that new onboarding process and orientation and continued education in those areas. And so that's what I took some of that, and I took some of what I've been through health wise and physical wise, and started putting the pieces together. And that's kind of how spice came about. But it's so needed, and it's not if you're in healthcare, everybody can benefit a little bit from a little extra spice in their life.
Yeah, without a doubt. Now, I want to take this time and just greet some of the folks that have come in here. We got a Puerto Rican jumping in here
Hey,
with some wepa and some
that's right.
aloha. Alex, another Alex. There's another Alex.
Alex, yeah.
um, my boy Ray from Texas, he's doing good. And hey,
Hello.
straight from Hawaii on the island, Gavin is with me. Aloha, brother. I really appreciate you guys. And Crystal,
Hey, Crystal.
hola. She's
Hola.
she's in Texas.
Nice.
Folks, talking about leadership, talking about
Mhm.
holistic health and wellness is, you bring up a good point, Alex, when you talk about um, you know, this relationship aspect and the
Mhm.
health around that, because
Mhm.
there were a lot of folks. Hey, Cynthia, thank you for being with us. That's another. She's another holistic health, um,
Yes.
a
Awesome.
wellness. So nice to have her. But we s- uh, we did see a strain
Mhm.
relationship wise, because there, quite frankly, there was a lot of people that were used to not being so close. Right? And,
Exactly.
and they didn't know what to do with each other.
Right.
And unless you're the type of person that is always up on your honey and your wife and your husband, and you're always, looking for opportunities to get together. Um, it was a a very weird situation, and it's funny to
Mhm.
say that when people are married, that now they can't even get along because now they're all in their face,
Mhm.
right? Everybody. And it
Yeah.
wasn't just husband wife relationship, it was parent children
Mhm.
relationships got
Mhm.
strained because this was something we were not ready
Mhm.
for. I mean,
Right.
it's a sad thing to say,
Right.
really, if you think about it, that families were not ready to be families. And
Yeah, exactly. And then, like, in our culture, like, you're taking care of your parents maybe. So that's a whole nother relationship dynamic right there. And it's like everybody's together. And yeah, it's like you don't have, like, you can only have TV and internet and games for so long
right,
before you got to actually talk to somebody and interact with somebody. And that can be, I think it's shown like a new light on how our relationships within our families, but then also within people in our community, and like how much we realize I do need to go talk to people. I do need to go hug somebody. I do need to go smile at somebody. I do need to have other interaction besides just my phone, just my computer. It really shone a lot of light into a lot of different areas that people don't like to tap into or want to think about because we're so busy with everything else going on.
well, I remember prior to pandemic, I would always say, "Hey, look, I can only stay with family about 1, 2 weeks. You're stretching me, right?" And this
Yeah.
was prior. So when you had somebody there all the time, now thankfully in my household, we love this, and that, if there's anything to love about the pandemic, was that it gave us what we really was always after. And
Hmm.
so we loved every bit of it, and
Hmm.
we still do, because you're still kind of operating under those kind of, standard operating procedures of, hey, we don't go too much to places anymore, right?
Right.
But um, being in the military, I got used to not being with external family.
Mm. Mhm.
So I actually was prepared for not seeing them at all, because the military structure, being so
Mhm.
far away or being deployed, you get that aspect of life that,
Yeah.
and that's something for folks that are listening that are not military, and you try to understand the military people, why they are so separatist. We're used to not being around,
Mm.
right? And not, it's not all of us, right? But at least me, I was used to not seeing them, so it didn't bring that kind of strain. But there were some people that were used to getting, together every Sunday,
Mhm.
or lived right across the street, and
Mhm.
they live in a neighborhood. Basically my whole block is my family, kind of.
Right. Mhm.
And they couldn't do that, so that presented certain things mentally.
Mhm.
Now, we spoke about relationship, but the
Mhm.
mental aspect was bombarded. Uh,
Mhm.
People's minds were bombarded with not only the reality of something happening like
Mhm.
this, but now the forced separation,
Mhm.
the anxiety behind, do I eat that apple without washing it with palm olive, Clorox? You know what I'm saying?
Fabuloso. Put some
Fabuloso.
fabuloso on it.
Yeah, right. So, so we really got
Mhm.
wrapped around,
Yeah.
and then talk about all the turmoil in our own country,
Yeah.
and January and before that, and the elections and all that just did not make things any easier, if
Mhm.
at all, right?
Right.
Um, what what uh what did you see come out of the mental effects of
Mhm.
health, with all of this?
Well, it was interesting because what I started seeing clinically in the hospital area was I started seeing younger and younger people being admitted and being sicker than we've ever had before. So all the years that I've always worked in the ICU, I've always been used to taking care of like 40, 50, 60-year olds, like, and up. That's kind of been like our demographic. And because most of what I did was cardiac related. So that's kind of what we saw most of the time. Now I'm like getting 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds that are on all the machines and all the things that we have on all the life support because they're so sick. They're going on dialysis, all of these different really extreme modes of intervention for such young patients that we've never done before. And I think as a healthcare provider, when you're taking care of somebody, it's a little bit more difficult to treat somebody that's kind of like your own age or even a little bit younger sometimes if you're not used to it. And so that was really interesting with that. But then also the young families, having to talk to the families about what was going on and how they were feeling, and that they weren't able to come in all the time, and you're having to like FaceTime them, and all of these like new things that we had to like try to get people to be able to communicate and to ease a lot of that stress and that anxiety just related to just that's like amped up 10, 20 times because you can't physically be there with that person. So that's clinically what I was seeing. Kind of like around my community and with people that I was kind of interacting with on the day to day, and with students. So students is a whole nother thing that to deal with, because in the education setting, we're used to, especially with nursing is so hands-on. We're so used to being like in the lab. And so I was used to teaching students in the laboratory setting, and we're hands-on and we're shoulder to shoulder and we're showing things and we're doing things. And that was all taken away. All of nursing, all of everything we did went to virtual. And it's like, how do you teach virtually to students? And nursing school is already super stressful and super difficult on its own. And then to put on top of that during a pandemic and trying to learn over digitally over the computer, how to do things to patients, it just was not clicking for so many students. And we had so many students that dropped out, took a break, weren't passing. So that was really difficult on them. And that's kind of what also spurred me into me doing a lot of live streaming now and a lot of educational programming and a lot of educational videos now, because I saw that there was like a big gap there where it was, if there was videos, they were like really outdated and really older and not up to date with what was going on, and using like today's technology and using real life scenarios. And so that's really kind of the gap that I wanted to fill with what I was doing, because I liked making videos and I liked doing stuff like this and talking about health and leadership and education. I love talking about this kind of topics, but I didn't really see any other educators doing this. So that was another part. And then on the like family and community level, oh my goodness, just not being able to see your family members. And it was stressful, it was anxiety, it was worry, and all of those things just compound on us. And we know when we're stressed out and we're anxious, our blood pressures are going up, our cortisol levels are going up, so our blood sugar's going up. You're more susceptible to a stroke, you're more susceptible to heart attack. All of those things get compounded. And then it's like the going to get food and going to get groceries, and it's like, how am I going to do this? And did I gain 20 pounds? Did I gain 30 pounds? All of those things just started compounding. And I think people really started seeing that. I think there was like two extremes, and tell me if you agree with this or not. I think there were some people that like use that time to like, I'm gonna get buff, I'm gonna get super buff during this time. But then there was others that it was just like, I'm eating, I'm eating, I'm eating. There's nothing to do, so they gained a lot of weight. So I think people experience like both levels of that. So and part of the community part I wanted to touch on too was, you as, and we're both parents, and if you don't know how to handle like your own shit and you don't know how to deal with your own feelings and your own emotions, it's like, what kind of example are you setting for your kids, for your little ones? And most adults have never heard of or really got into holistic health and wellness, or they think it's all woo woo and they think it's just like this hippie thing. But I think if they learn more about it, and why I like to make videos like this and teach about it, is it's very accessible. It's very easy. It's stuff that you can do on the daily, that you can do on your own with what you have. And that's actually one of my favorite sayings, is start from wherever you are with whatever you got. You just go for it. And I think if we started empowering ourselves and just started talking about it and learning about it on our own level, we can pass that on to our kids, be good examples, and talk to them about it, normalize it, so that they can be more well equipped when they go to school or they go back out into the world. Because they're little humans too, they're little people too, and got their own feelings, and they've got to deal with things without us. So how are we setting them up for success when they're going out and dealing with their emotions and their feelings? So lots of different levels to all of that.
Yeah, which brings up a good time to talk about leadership. This was a good time, and you talk about, hey, if you don't got your stuff right, how you gonna, get them to get their stuff right, and which is it's been my topic here the last couple of years, if not the last 5 years, when you're talking about leaders,
Mm-hmm.
leadership that cannot lead themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not leadership. That's just
Mm-hmm.
folks, just get it through your head. If you can't lead yourself, you're not a leader.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you again if you ask me later, and I'll tell you a couple of years from now. The true testament of leadership is that you can lead yourself. After you can lead yourself, after you got your stuff right, then I want to hear you talk about, hey, maybe you should do it this way. But until then, you might as well just keep studying, keep learning.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Yeah.
put it out there yet.
Yeah.
Because folks are going to call you out on it anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
just think of it that way. At home, there was a huge unveiling of who was ready for parenthood, who wasn't during these last 2 years, right? I would get in conversation with people that I would talk to, yeah, that would say, I am so happy that I get to keep my child and I get to teach them now.
Mm-hmm.
Because what they were getting was yada, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side, I got some people telling me, I can't wait till Joselito goes back to, to school. I'm about to kill that kid. If he, and I'm like, were you always like this? But,
Oh
that
man.
don't sound like a parent to me, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because that whole forced relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
They learned to have a separate type of relationship, even as a family.
Mm-hmm.
They learned and grew accustomed to being apart from each other for a
Mm-hmm.
certain amount of time during the day. And then you got them for a couple of hours and then you put them to bed. And I'm like, bro, that's not, that has never worked for me. But hey, if you guys are running it that way, okay. Leadership, whether
Mm-hmm.
you're at home, whether
Mm-hmm.
you're in a medical setting, whether you are out in the field, whether you are in retail, food industry, whatever have you,
Right.
starts with you. It
Mm-hmm.
starts with you.
Yeah.
What could you tell somebody that's now, after post 2 years now, people are getting comfortable again, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
just it. I see it every day. I I have not been anywhere where where at least 95% of people don't ever wear masks anymore.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm gonna die, but it ain't gonna be by lack of not trying to stay alive.
Yeah.
That's me. That's my approach.
Yeah.
But I also had, 1 year ago, April 1st. It's been
Mm-hmm.
about a year that my mom passed
Mm-hmm.
because of COVID. I actually got to see her, so I was fortunate that the hospital was ready to at least have a corridor. It was, I mean,
Oh,
I'm talking
okay.
about this glass door, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you could at least see into the room. Now,
Mm-hmm.
all we could see was her on the bed, struggling. I'm talking about chest going
Yeah.
up and down where you could visibly see it, uh,
Mm-hmm.
struggling to even get, whatever it was, like 40% oxygen, right?
Actually, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
So
Mm-hmm.
so we at least got to see that, and
Mm-hmm.
some people didn't,
Right.
right? But this whole era has been very strenuous, uh, and we spoke about the body, we spoke
Mm-hmm.
about the mind,
Mm-hmm.
we spoke about relationship.
Mm-hmm.
What other area have you seen trickle in because the world is becoming numb? Shoot, there's a war going on in Europe, and we're numb to it.
Yeah.
I if, anybody out there, we feel no, like I pray for everybody over there every night. Me and my family,
Mm-hmm.
we pray for those people because we don't have to go through that. So they need some type of backing, and that's the only thing we could do, right? So
Yeah, I mean, it is.
and for our sanity, probably the best thing we could do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there were some areas that are still not getting through the mind and of people.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you say we're so numb? Because is that like a defense thing we're doing to keep ourselves whole?
I think a little bit, yes, because one of the things that is hard to come to grips with, and I think a lot of people faced during this pandemic, was there's only so much you can control around you. And there's only so much like bandwidth that you have to worry about other things. And like in my practice, I deal with clients who are excessive worriers, are excessively anxious, that are always, their mind is always going to all of these things. And one of the things, it's so difficult to get people just to come back to focusing on just what's really important, what really affects their life, really. Like, and we can use um your war example. Like, we know what's going on, but it's so far away from us. What can you do? What can I really do that's going to help those people? In all actuality, not much. We can definitely send good vibes and we can pray for them, we can think about them, but we're not there physically, right? Fighting on the ground. So there's donations and all types of other things that we could possibly do, but as far as like expending all of that energy worrying and being anxious about this and constantly checking the news feed about what's going on, that's all energy you could be putting forward to something else, something that will help you in the moment in time that you are in and help your family. So that's been another thing that I think people have kind of noticed, is that it can be very easy to worry about everything else and get very anxious about everything else. And then it's just what strategies, who can help me to start focusing on what's really important to myself in this time, what's important to my family at this very moment in time, and not all of this other stuff that is going around that's going to continue to go on around you, because when you're asleep it's going on, when you're awake it's going on. So it's in the moment that you're in, what kind of things can you do that are going to support you and support your family? So that was another thing that that I just continue to deal with clients that I have, and that I see, and that kids also really struggle with. So I deal with a lot of educators. I have a lot of educators that are clients, and they see that in their students a lot, and they are wondering, how can I help my students? So I help the teacher, then the teacher trickles that down, and they help the students. And that's kind of the same thing that we're working on in the hospital setting as well, is how can we influence those people in administration, those people in the leadership positions, to get their own selves together, get that figured out, and then how can we implement some new systems, some new things for the employees that are going on? How can we go down to management, and then how can we go down to those other people that are working and help them to be more successful while they're in the workplace, but then also when they go home? That was my huge thing, and what I really wanted to focus on was that, because I know as a floor nurse, I felt very unsupported in that area for most of my career, very unsupported. So I really wanted to switch that up with when I attained my position and when I started working with these other leaders. I'm like, this is what we need to do, because I was a floor nurse and I was in these positions. This is what we really need. This is what the nurses really talk about in a break room. This is what we need.
Yeah, I love that. Hey, each one help one, and we'll make it. We'll make it.
Mm-hmm,
And I
mm-hmm,
promise you, yes, things are still gonna go on, uh,
mm-hmm,
regardless. But if we each help each other, we will make
mm-hmm,
it.
mm-hmm.
So Alex, let's talk about spice, because I see
Mm,
the thing in the background there is
my son.
screaming at you. So, what exactly is spice, and how do you apply it?
Yeah, so SPICE is in nursing, we've got the head to toe assessment. That's what we call how we systematically go through somebody and check them out. So I consider SPICE my head to soul assessment. So that's how I tie in
Okay.
the whole holistic view of it. And every letter stands for something. The S stands for spirit, the P stands for physical, the I stands for insight, the C stands for career, and the E stands for emotion. So I based all of that on a bunch of work that I did with psychology and looking into the dimensions of wellness. And so, like all of the studies I looked at, there people really tend to fall into certain kinds of buckets. All of our lives tend to fall into certain buckets, and these ones are the ones that I found that if we can address those and focus on those and kind of assess those systematically, we can really create something that is healthy and sustainable for you. And that's why I say, for a balanced life, just add spice, because I'm all about the work-life balance. I'm all about the time management, the productivity, the taking care of yourself, finding your self-worth, but then also being able to give to others. Because I know for myself, the people that I really enjoy working with and the people that really light me up are the ones that are out there really wanting to do the best for themselves and their career. They're very driven and motivated, but then they're also very invested in the people that they work with and the people that they come into contact with. So whatever role that might be, if you're a nurse, if you're an educator, if you're a social worker, if you're any type of leader, that's the kind of people that I really vibe with. And I think the people that see the value in learning about this holistic sense of being and holistic sense of living and creating a healthy and sustainable lifestyle for you and your family, because that tends to be too the people that are drawn to me as well, because I have always worked and had raised my family and been in school, and I've always been doing this over all the years. And I always tell people I'm pretty much an expert in this area. And so that's really the number one question I always get asked about. And so I said, Alex, people are needing some help and some support in the area. So why not start putting something together to help support people in these areas of their life? So that's what I've been doing. And now that I've been doing my live streams, and I figured if I can do live video, I can reach so many more people. I can teach so many more people doing this. And if I would have thought 20 years ago that I would be making videos or being like on a live with you, honey, I would have said, no, not me, not me. But I absolutely love it, love it, love it. And I love teaching about spice. And we've been doing so many great things in our community. I'm actually getting ready to do a presentation for back. It's going to be like a back to work event. So it's going to be like post COVID stress, anxiety, a back to work thing for the National Alliance for Mental Illness, for NAMI in Lorain County. We're going to be doing that. So we're going to be hosting a real nice live event and giving people some resources to help kind of ease that transition back into the workplace and going back to work and interacting with people and easing some of that stress and that anxiety and some of that worry. So I'm really excited about that. But that's spice is just all of those things, looking at the spirit, looking at your physical self, your physical wellness, looking at your insight and your self-awareness. Actually, that's what all of April is. We're looking within into the eye of spice. And career, I mean, career is such a huge part, you know, how you support yourself, how you support your family, how you support others and take care of others that are around you. And then the emotional part and how to support that emotional wellness within you. So I love talking about all of those.
No, I love it. I'm as you was talking, I'm putting it in the chat so people can
Oh,
keep
thank you.
tabs on it. So
Yeah.
spirit, and it's great that you started there, right? Where all things begin. You know, I'm a ordained minister, so I believe that is my primary source and place that I need to focus on for everything to go on from there. And so spirit, and I've talked about this in another episode where I spoke about leadership and faith. Why is this area first in your acronym? And we'll talk about spice altogether later. But why is that one the main one you started with?
Yeah, you know, and I think the nice thing about spice is that, you know, I'm Catholic. I was raised Catholic. And so spirituality is definitely a big part of my life and my family's life. My kids all attend Catholic school and, you know, we've all been raised like that. But you know, I don't believe that you necessarily have to be religious or believe in some type of anything to have some type of spiritual wellness within you and to support a spiritual wellness within you. And I think that part of that spirituality is so unique and so individual to people. And I think, just like you said, it is kind of like the jumping off point, the starting off point, because it's where you really derive so much of your energy from, is from that spirituality. And it's like when you're lacking, it's like there's unlimited spirituality power out there. I don't know a better way to describe it, but like I see it in my brain right now, but it's like to make the words come out, I guess.
Well,
But
we are in an environment, right? We are in an environment. I'm a meteorologist and oceanographer by trade.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so environment is huge, right? There's
Yeah,
an environment
yeah.
here. There's an environment under the water. You know,
Right.
there's an environment above this what we call heaven, right? This atmosphere. There's another atmosphere.
Right.
And so you're always surrounded by something that you don't see. Always. Air, right? We don't think about it. We're running right into air and sometimes carbon, dioxide or whatever gases are, but we don't see them, right? And so that's what I like in spirituality too. It is a substance. You don't see it, but it's real. Because if I snap like Thanos and oxygen went out, we'd be all out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's these elements that we need to. Some people say vibrations, right? And people, hey, we send good vibes, or be like, man,
Right.
I didn't feel a good vibe with that person. Something, he got a cuckoo or something, right? Something, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so that is a place that is so unknown because it's unseen, but it takes so much effect. It has so much effect on and effect sometimes on us if we're not, if we're not ready for it. Physical, obviously, it's no joke if you let this body deteriorate, which it will on its own. Do nothing and see, right? Do nothing and see.
You're gonna be homeless. Be homeless if you ain't got a body living.
Yeah. So the physical side, is that
Mhm.
just the the working out part, or
Mhm.
is that more than that?
So I like to think about it as, how can I describe this? So when I think about somebody's physicalness, I guess, it's like, how are you taking care of yourself? What are you doing to improve your health? So all the different parts of your health, of your physical health. So are you moving with purpose is what I like to say. I don't like to say
Yeah.
exercise. I say moving with purpose. Are you moving with purpose every day? And a lot of the clients that work with me do have some type of chronic illness, whether it's blood pressure or diabetes. And like, I know for myself, I had high blood pressure, and I was on a bunch of medications, and I actually went into heart failure after I had my youngest child, after I had my
Wow.
4-year-old. I went into heart failure, and it was not looking good. It was not looking good, but I was very unhealthy. I was very overweight. I was not taking care of myself. And that's kind of when I was like, Alex, what are you doing? What are you not doing? So really getting that in check. And as a nurse, I see it all the time. I know when patients come to me, whether they've been taking care of themselves or they're not, and what you're doing good and what you're not doing. So just trying to instill like healthy habits and healthy ways of living, healthy ways of eating, and again, for you and for your family, in a way that's going to be sustainable for everybody, and how to do that in a healthy way, but in a balanced way, because you're a real person, honey. Like, I made patelillos the other day because they're my son's favorite. So I made them and I ate them. But then I also ate salad and fruits and vegetables the rest of the day. Like, there's ways to do it where you can balance
Right,
things
right.
and you can still eat the things you want to eat and do the things you want to do, but do it in a more balanced way, in a more controlled way. And that's kind of where like the insight and the self-awareness and the self-control comes in. That's why all the letters are really tied together, because you can't really do one unless you got the other too. So but just with that physical part, that's what I like to look at. And I like to focus on like actual data. So like blood sugar levels, glucose levels,
Right.
what your blood pressure actually is. What does your lab work look like? I like to focus on a lot of those things, because I have a special program. It's called Spice Body, and it's actually just dedicated to body. It's just dedicated to physical health,
Right.
because I feel like it can be very overwhelming to just tackle that along with a lot of your other life issues. So I've kind of separated that program out. So that program just focuses on numbers, specific results, specific things that you need physical wise, health wise. That's what that program really focuses on. But yeah, I love being active, and I encourage everybody to be active, move your body with purpose, have fun. You got a body, use it, move it, groove it, do all the things. That's really what I advocate for with the physical.
And insight, is that just mental clarity? What do you address under insight?
So with insight, intuition, self-awareness, I look at routines, I look at habits, I look at productivity. So your energy levels, what you're doing, how you're managing your time. Um, just like, yeah, like that insight and that being self-aware, really tuning into who you are. That's really what we talk a lot about in the I is. And I feel like for myself, that was where I had to do so much work. So much of that personal work that I had to do was in the I area, was really in that. And looking at that self-worth and looking at who are you really as a person, and how are you showing up to others? How do you see other people? Being empathetic, being compassionate, all of those things really fall under the I section. So it's actually can be very involved, and that's what I'm talking about all of April. So all of my videos in April are going to be talking about looking within into the eye of spice. So it's anything you can think of that some kind of inner turmoil that you might be having, some inner stressor that probably would fall within the eye of spice.
Yeah, I love that. And I was thinking back to most people, if you ask them, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
Stumps them. They're like, what do you mean? You know, they can't
Yeah.
answer it. A lot has to do with the fact that the last time we saw our true selves was prior to the time that anybody had an influence on us,
Mhm.
right? Where before the time that somebody did something to us,
Mhm.
and then set us off on a different course from who we really are, right? And we've never seen that, or we haven't seen that person in years, if not decades. And
Mhm.
so that's why it's so hard to answer,
Mhm.
who are you? And it's almost comical, but it's also sad because
Yeah.
we are people that are living under weight of people piling stuff on it,
Mhm.
right? Good, bad, ugly. It's just been piled on us. And that's
Mhm.
who we've been actually living. When if we truly go down to who we truly are, there's
Mhm.
going to be such a liberation. So I'm glad you dabble into right into the insight. Career, I can tell it's a career thing.
Yeah.
You know, but some people don't even are in the wrong career. Some people
Yeah.
are doing it because, hey, that's what my daddy did.
Right. Mhm. Yeah. Yep. And when I talk about the career part too, I talk about I did a couple segments on networking and about branding yourself. And I think especially and this is what I was really talking to like my nursing audience, but I wanted to even extend it into my teacher audience as well, because like you are somebody, you're not just that position that you hold, like you have so much other value and so many other things that you are interested in and things that you do. And I'm like, even though you might not be a business or have an LLC or whatever, a corp after your name, like you can still have a business card. You can still go to networking events and meet people. Like if you're that type of person who, and actually I was just working with a client the other day and she gave me like the best analogy. Like we had this great conversation and she got invited to this oh my gosh, this fellowship program over the summer where she would get to meet with all these other like super high level educators. And she was like, it's like I unlocked this new level. And I was like, oh my gosh, like just being able, like she's still doing the things she did, but she kind of extended herself, which we've been working together. So I was encouraging her to be more outgoing and to meet more people. And so she was able to meet somebody and this opportunity was presented to her. And she's just is so over the moon about this. And I'm so happy for her. But it's like that. It's like if you want to unlock those next levels, because you can't just play on level one your entire life. That's boring. Like you want to get up to those higher levels that are more exciting. And so that's what she was able to do. And that's why I tell people, like, even if you're a nurse, you're an educator, like get yourself a business card, go network with people, meet people, go on LinkedIn. I introduced so many people to LinkedIn and just how the basics of how LinkedIn works. And so I did some videos on that because I'm like, you never know who the next person can connect you with, what opportunity, what great event you could go to, who you could meet there. Like you never know. The levels are limitless. You can unlock limitless levels. And so that's what I talk about in the career as well. And it's like really finding, is this the career that you want to have? And how can we spice up your career? And what can we do in the workplace to support wellness? That was another section that I did under career was workplace wellness. How can we support emotional wellness and triage for emotional wellness in the workplace? So those are all things that fall under the career category that not a lot of people think about. But when I think about it holistically, that's what I think about. So that's why I talk about those things.
And I tell you that you're one step away. Anybody listening is talking about, hey, I don't know what you are, one, no joke, one person, one step away from a trajectory that you always imagined.
Yeah.
And you'll never get there if you stay where you are.
Yep.
So get out there. And I'm not saying, hey, go out there and this huge masterpiece. What I'm saying is get out there digitally, get out there
Mm-hmm.
physically, whatever it is you feel comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you this, I've had so many opportunities come by way of LinkedIn that I
Mm-hmm.
would not have ever had.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
promise you.
Yep.
Had it not been for the ability to connect with and work with so many different peoples from around the world,
Mm-hmm.
and so emotional is the last one on there,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes the one of the most important.
Mm-hmm.
If you're emotionally bankrupt,
Mm-hmm.
if you are
Mm-hmm.
emotionally broke,
Mm-hmm.
all these other ones right here
Yeah.
will will
That's what I
collect.
said. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So so
They're
yeah.
all
So what do you talk about in terms of emotion with the program?
so when I talk about the emotion part, this is where it can be really difficult. And I know for myself, to kind of share a little bit of background with me, like, my emotions were all over the place. I took shit way too personally. I let what other people think about me influence so many years of my life, so many years wasted because I was worried about what other people were thinking about me.
Yeah.
And it was just, I just was not in control of my emotions very well. I let so many other things dictate how I should have been feeling instead of empowering myself and taking ownership of my own feelings and processing my own feelings. And when I talk to one of the biggest things probably that people can relate to, it's probably way overused, but the whole mom guilt, like having mom guilt, that falls under that E part too. It's taking time for yourself and that self-care and not getting burnt out, not getting overwhelmed with things, not overextending yourself, knowing your boundaries and creating boundaries, personal boundaries and professional boundaries. Those are all the things that fall under the E part, and it's how to express yourself, how to express your needs, and then also how to listen to other people's needs, how to be a good listener, and how to take in that information and not take it personally, but be able to communicate with somebody else. And that's so important in the healthcare profession, but also in the educational area as well. We need to be good listeners to our students and really hear what they're saying. And we need to keep our own emotions in check and help support them in their emotional development, because you might be the only person that's talking to them about their feelings. You might be the only person who said, "Hey, how are you doing today? How are you feeling about this?" You might be the only one. So that's what I really love to talk about in the E part of Spice.
Yeah, not just taking care of you, just like you said, being able to take care of somebody else. But
Mm-hmm.
if you are not right, if you're not right in your spirit, physical, insight, career, emotion, whatever have you,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot give. You just
Right.
can't.
Mm-hmm.
And if you attempt to give, it won't be all that you can give. It'll
Right.
be some portion that you can give, but it won't be
Mm-hmm.
the fullness of what it may require, right? So
Right.
I love that you have created Spice. If someone wanted to get a hold of you
Mm-hmm.
and get into it, because I know you do the lives, earlier during the day. I
Mm-hmm.
know that you've been talking. You're about to speak at a conference, and you have this Spice program. If they wanted to get a hold of you to get involved, maybe participate, how would they do that?
Yeah, I love what I really want to do, especially after I graduate next month, is I really want to start interviewing more people. So, like doing what you do, I love to have people on my show. So, if you would like to be a guest, definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. If you're watching me on LinkedIn, definitely connect with me. And you can always go check out my website. It's getyourspice.net. And you can find out more about me and my background, and you can see testimonials. You can see all the different programs that I offer, and you can sign up for my newsletter there. When you sign up for my newsletter, I'll send you a really great downloadable. It's a free PDF about how to make healthy lifestyle changes. Very easy, subtle things that you and your family can do starting today to live a healthier, more sustainable lifestyle. And I have tons of other freebies that I always love love sending out. But connecting with me on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. I mean, I'm on all the places. So you can definitely connect with me at any one of those. And I do have a scheduling link that you can get onto my calendar and book some time with me to have a conversation. And I love meeting new people and getting to know them and what they're up to and connecting them with other people. So definitely hit me up, say hi, send me a DM. I would love any and all of it.
Well, I think your first this guy Enrique wants to be on. I don't know. On
that guy.
that guy. But well, folks, we've been talking about leadership, holistic health and wellness. Her, Alex's spice program. This is the good kind of spice, folks, right?
Yeah.
And we're excited. I have a couple of things that I would like to share. Number one is you need some cookies. I know we've been talking about health and wellness. I know
it's all about being balanced.
Being balanced, but I'm telling you what, check out Honolulu Cookie Company. I don't get sponsored. I don't get paid for this. I just love it. Check them out. This is Aloha Friday Live, right? Aloha Friday Live. Get you some cookies. HonoluluCookieCompany.com is where you'll go and check those out. Alex, for being my guest, she's going to get something from Honolulu Cookie Company. I appreciate you being with us.
Thank you.
Folks, we also have Podfest. If you are in Orlando, Podfest Expo is coming May 26th through the 29th at the Hilton Orlando. I'm going to be speaking there about this, LinkedIn Live. So my session is on that Thursday, LinkedIn Live, right around between 3 and 4 p.m. that Thursday. I'll be there. But that whole week, I'll be there helping, moderating, and doing all kinds of things. The good thing about that is if you want to go and you're here in Orlando, if you go to the Podfest Expo website and at checkout use DTLW Podcast 20, you will get 20% off your ticket. And that's good, but I'm going to do you one better. 5 listeners. Listen to me now. 5 listeners of the DTLW podcast that are subscribed, and I can verify it. You can go with me as my guest to Podfest Expo, and you'll be hanging around with me, meeting all kinds of podcasters and things, but it's going to be fun. So subscribe to the channel. Hit me up on the DM if you're interested in going with me. If you're interested in going by yourself, you'll get the ticket for 20% off. But hey, I'm a whole lot of fun, so I don't know. I might want to. If you don't get
to go, actually, I do want to go. I do want to go.
I'll tell you, if you're in Orlando at Podfest Expo, I can get you a ticket, folks. It's been so good to have Alex with me tonight. I hope you learn how to get a holistic mind around your wellness, around your health. Reach out to her if you want to join her Spice program. At a minimum, hey, join her at her live sessions during the when do you hold your live sessions?
I do Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern.
All right, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Folks, it has been a blast. I am so glad you all came and spent some time with us. Aloha Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Alex, thank you so much. And we will see you guys next week, Friday, when we'll have another guest with an exciting topic around leadership. We'll see you next Friday.